So you've seen the new All About Spelling edition, but you've been wondering, should I go with the newest edition or should I just grab an older edition used? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys the main differences between the new and old edition of All About Spelling so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. So let's get started. The first big difference we have to look at is the actual teacher's book and teaching material. We're going to be taking a look at level 1 of the old edition and the new edition, but these facts are true for all of the old and new editions. Inside, you will see level 1, step 1. This is going to be your very first lesson, and this is what the older edition looks like. It is not colored, as you'll see here in the newer edition, and it goes through and gives you a few evaluation things of maybe things that need to be taught in that lesson. It has you teach the phonograms, but the instructions, this is the instructions for you to use to actually teach. And then you just track your progress at the end. And that's the end of lesson 1. In the new book, this is obviously full colored, and they now kind of lay out a little bit better what you can expect in this lesson, as well as including a can you skip this lesson. This is a really key feature because they recommend that everybody starts off at level 1, regardless of what previous spelling experience you have, because All About Spelling teaches more about the rules than the specific lists of words, which we'll talk more about here in a second. So this will help you identify if your child has actually mastered these skills or not. Again, more information on like how to use the program, more instruction, and then they're going to go into the actual lesson. It has timed what you should do. It has which cards. It's scripted for exactly what you should say. A lot more like what you're used to seeing from the All About Reading program. And then it has new teaching. Again, more instruction there, and then has additional activities, which we will get to here in just a second. And then finally, at the end, here is the end of lesson 1. Now, you may be thinking, if there is all of that extra instruction, is the older edition inferior when it comes to instruction? I would say no. I have used the older edition of level 1 to teach 3 of my kids how to spell, and it has gone well. However, I will say having the extra instruction that is provided in this new edition is really helpful when it comes to making it a more open and go curriculum. And I'm finding that the way it is scripted and written makes it flow much more naturally and helps my kid understand better. As I mentioned, the way All About Spelling is laid out, it's very different because it's not just focusing on a list of words to memorize the spelling on, but truly understanding why they are spelled that way. So each lesson is going to have a focus point, a rule, or for in this instance, it's short A sounds that your child is going to learn off of. With that, they're going to be given a list of 10 words that they will learn within that lesson. But again, because it's more about the rules than those specific words, they do have the practice more words, where if you want to kind of challenge your child more, you can practice more. This is included in the older edition, but what is not included is this brand new section for advanced application. This is taking that same rule of short A sounds and mixing it with other sounds to work on harder words for older students. Like I said before, All About Spelling recommends that you start at level 1, whether you have a child who is in 1st grade or 5th grade or 8th grade. Starting at 1, make sure that they master all of those rules that they need to get to. So having that advanced section for me is huge to be able to make sure that I can challenge my child where they're at while still practicing the rule that we're focusing on at that moment. This is also a really great addition if you are teaching multiple kids across different levels or ages and stages. This can allow you guys to all be on the same spelling lesson and focus as a large family on one particular concept, but give appropriate spelling words to each child. As you can see, there is quite a bit of difference in the size of books for the teacher's books. I believe they said there's 150 more pages in there, and there is definitely a larger appendix section with different activities and, kind of different opportunities to learn in the back that I would highly recommend you check out. Now, another big change with this new edition is that there is actually a student book. With the original one, there is no student book, so I can't compare those two for you. but they recognized that kids loved the learning activities from All About Reading and they wanted more of that in All About Spelling. So you'll see a huge selection of different practice games for your child to work on each of the spelling rules and the words that are listed there. You're also going to see included in here posters, full color posters that help them remember those different sounds or rules that they're working on. I have a lot of very visual learners and tactile learners, so having the opportunity to have those games for reinforcement and to be able to move them around and to play with them kind of brings it to life, and I think is definitely going to help. I actually have one of my older daughters who has some learning needs, has actually already completed the old edition of All About Spelling 1, and I think we're going to go back through the new edition because I think she could use the extra practice and emphasis on the different words. And now that they have the harder word option and they have the game aspect, I think this is going to be the perfect fit. Another big difference for these two different editions is these cards. So they have a series of different cards. They have rule cards, they have sound cards, they have phonogram cards, and then they actually have the word cards that your kids will be spelling off of. But the big difference is in these rule cards. There are a lot less of them than there have been in the previous edition, but it's because they have streamlined it and simplified it. The text is a lot bigger, as you can see on each card, but the questions have been asked in a better way. I feel like one of the other questions on here, I believe, was like, what is a plural word? And now it's the add s rule. How do you make most plurals? And so on the back, it will have, you can add an s to it. So they've just kind of rephrased this and streamlined this process better. Also, another big change when it comes to the green cards is they've actually added that it's spelling level 1. This is huge because if you have All About Reading and All About Spelling and you have multiple levels and this falls on the floor and gets mixed up, you're not going to be sure if this is for All About Reading or All About Spelling. So now it is actually labeled as spelling level 1, lesson 7, word card 1 for you. And so I always appreciated the fact that they do have the levels, the steps, and the word card, but adding that it's spelling versus just All About Reading is really helpful. Now there is also the price difference in the two levels. There is more cost when it comes to the newer level, but there is also definitely more material. As you can see, 150 pages more in the teacher's book, plus an entire student book full of activities. That really does help add to the value. And having it being in color, at first when they came out with the color editions, because I've been using All About Reading and All About Spelling far before there was color, and when they first came out with it, I didn't really know if it would make that big of a difference. However, working with my daughter with ADHD, I have noticed a huge difference in her motivation factor when it comes to using the curriculum when it's in color. We actually started out with All About Reading level 1 in color and then went to level 2, and I had just had the black and white version, so I started to use that. And she has been begging me that for level 3, we get the color version again because she's like, Mom, it just makes it more interesting and more engaging for her. So we are definitely going to be making those changes. Is this the right curriculum for you? Well, only you can be the one to decide that, but I do hope that seeing the differences between the levels can help you. Helping see those additional features and added benefits maybe is something that can help you decide if those are things that are important to you and your family and are worth getting the latest and greatest edition. Like I said, level 3 is coming out soon and level 4 should be shortly following. I'll drop links down below for all of this information. If you want to learn more about All About Reading, be sure to check out this video here.